Alright, hey, more MHayashi. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel continue to grow. Maybe we'll even hit 3,000 subscribers um, by the end of the year. No, that's at this growth rate, that's pretty much impossible. But maybe who knows? In the next 6 to 10 months, you may be. Now that I think about it, the channel growth is not like that explosive, but it's more explosive than I ever anticipated it to be. We're probably never going to be a super huge, one of those super huge like 10K plus Magic channels. There's so few Magic channels like 100K or more. Like Chilean Community College, and I forget like a few others, but well, I mean maybe there are. I just don't get them in my feeds for whatever reason. Like even Mengu and like a lot of the high level tournament pros, they seem to be more in the 10K ish range. I doubt we'll ever get to that, but with your help, you never know. Maybe before I die, I'll hit 10K. Anyway, thanks everybody. Um, yeah, anywho's it. Yeah, and you can always unlike and unsubscribe later on. So if you don't like it, but I think I have a pretty good track record of people liking what they probably expect on some level. And if what you're expecting is MHayashi nonsense, well, you'll never be disappointed. I think because we have more MHayashi nonsense here. um, is the mono white? Is the mono white? What do you call it? Stoneblade deck back for more. And I mean, we already know the basics here. We got the March of Otherworldly Light, just pretty solid catch-all that also happens to deal with Urza Saga for 1 mana. Um, I heard some people say that this card is like one of the worst marches. I gotta beg to differ. I mean, I think they're thinking in terms of like comparing this to Prismatic Ending. And granted, if you have like the more colors you have, the more Prismatic End stacks up somewhat favorably to this. But this has two big advantages. Even so, it's an instant and it hits Urza Saga. But at the end of the day, we're not multicolor, and I think this card is actually surprisingly close to um, Prismatic Ending. But the instant speed alone almost kind of makes me like it. And while it is true that pitching a card is often not that great, what is great is the fact that it's actually a pretty decent card even when you don't pitch anything, and and when you do need to pitch something, usually it's game winning, in that often you will just lose the game if you don't. And who doesn't like saving yourself from just losing the game? I certainly like that. And I think one thing that people mischaracterize about this card is I think they're comparing it to cards like Spellburst. So like, I don't have any Spellburst, I guess, in my deck. So like, okay, what did I just spell this? Spellburst. Maybe it's two different words. There we go. See, like, I think people are comparing March of Otherworldly Light to spells like this, like that counter target spell with mana value X. Um, I mean, the reason why these counter spells almost never see play is they're always behind curve. But here's the thing, though. I think people misunderstand. It's not just that it's behind curve. If it was just behind curve, I'll explain in a minute what I mean by that. But like, the main problem is that even if you're on the play, you're always your opponent. If your opponent casts spells on curve, so let's say I go first, I play an island. They go first. They play a Savannah Lions. We're playing really old Magic here, so just bear with me. Um, I can't counter that Savannah Lions with Spellburst because I only have one blue mana and I need at least two to counter it. Well, okay, I tell myself I can counter the next 1-drop they play on the next turn, except they don't play a 1-drop on the next turn. They play a, I don't know, was Stoneforge Mystic on in time Spiral Block? I can't remember. I think it was. I can't remember for sure. Well, whatever. Let's just say they play like Stoneforge Mystic. Uh-oh, I'm really screwed now. Can't counter that either with Spellburst because that's not a 1-drop. And it's a really nasty 2-drop that I kind of wish I could counter. Um, and the worst part about it is I even have 2 mana up, so if I played literally any other 2-mana counter spell like Mana Leak or Rune Snag, I think was what the cool kids were playing back then. And by cool kids, I mean just me. I'm sure pretty sure nobody else touched that card. um, but anyway, like literally almost any other, conditional or semi-conditional, or heck, even Spell Snare. Yeah, I think Ravnica Block was already out. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, Man, my timeline in Magic is really messed up, but it's crazy that I can't remember where Time Spiral got placed. But in any case, um, yeah, you see what I mean? Like, and then on turn 3, you're like, okay, finally I'll be able to counter something because I can counter any 1-drop and any 2-drop, and then the opponent just slams down. I don't know. I'm trying to think. What's a 3-drop the cool kids would play? And now I put myself in white, so now I'm really now I'm really up. You know what creek without a paddle because I don't even know what 3-drop. I don't know. Let's just say somebody plays a for some reason they just hard cast a Sword of like Feast and Famine or something, or whatever the sword. Yeah, Sword of Feast and Famine. What was that? That was Maraudon block. Okay, so Time Sprawl, Maraudon. No, Maraudon and Zendikar back to back. Well, whatever. They play some kind of sword. I don't know what sword they're playing. Don't ask me. But they just play something that costs 3 mana. Maybe not a sword, because obviously they just cheat that in with Stoneforge. Anyhow, so I'm hoping I can finally counter something with Spellburst on turn 3. Bam, they play literally anything that costs 3 mana, and then I just you know I just scoop right there, and I just walk right out of the store because I'm too ashamed of playing Spellburst basically, and that is the problem with Spellburst. And notice I'm even on the play with this example. Now don't get me wrong, this card has seen play, for example, Mono Blue Tron, because once you get to like 7+ mana, suddenly you can counter stuff that they're playing even on turn 5, because you have more mana than them. But there's a reason why this card has basically seen 0 play outside of Tron, and even crazy MHayashi probably wouldn't touch this outside of like a Tron shell or a Cloud Post shell or something. Um, but anyway, March of Otherworldly Light is nothing like that. It's and the main reason why is because notice the difference between being able to remove something already in play and something that trying to counter a spell in the same environment. Again, unfortunately, I have to be on the play for you to really see like this at its best. But keep in mind, you can do the same thing on the draw, but it will require pitching a card. But that's what makes March of Otherworldly Light so good, is the fact that on the play it actually is very much on curve, but on the draw it can make itself on curve by being able to pitch a card, which is not ideal, but it somewhat helps counterbalance the tempo loss from being on the draw, which is actually very, very sweet. If you need it, that is. And sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. For example, in the Stoneforge Mystic example, you probably would need to pitch a white card if you're on the draw, and that will totally be worth it. And you can easily still end up winning the game, in part because you're up an extra card by being on the draw. So that helps you be able to pay for this. But imagine the same scenario where the opponent drops like a Savannah. You play a Plains, they play a Savannah Lions. Now on your turn 2, and especially like you could have played like I don't know, you could have played a Castle Ardenvale tapped or something. But like suddenly now you're actually dealing with Savannah Lions on curve because you don't have to, you're not constrained by them casting it. You can pay 2 and remove it on your turn, or wait until their turn to remove it. Now imagine you don't want to deal with the Savannah Lions. Next turn they play a Stoneforge Mystic. Great, you untap. Now you have 3 mana in play. So they play, Savannah Lions. You untap, play a Plains. They untap, play a Stoneforge Mystic. You could do anything you want on turn 2, like play Mazemind Tome or something, and then on your turn, play another land. Bam, you can deal with it on 3. Notice how at every stage of the way, you're actually dealing with their threats on curve, rather than being off curve like Spellburst. It does require that you have to wait 1 turn. So like it does obviously haste breaks it a little bit because haste demands an immediate answer and you can't untap and wait until you play another land drop. But for most non-haste threats, this actually deals with stuff on curve, and that's very sweet. And again, when you're on the draw, that's what actually, honestly, if this card didn't have the pitch ability, it would probably not be playable because it would suffer from the Spellburst problem, if you know what I mean. Like think about it. If this didn't have the ability to pitch, it would suffer from the Spellburst problem on the draw. It wouldn't on the play, but it would on the draw. But man, oh man, the fact you can pitch a card, it never actually has to suffer from the Spellburst problem. It'll only suffer from that problem at the cost of a card, and when you do that, you usually need to. Anyway, I was not expecting this rant about March of Otherworldly Light to take like 5+ minutes, but I do think it's important to explain because I have seen people dunking on this card, and I think they're wrong. They're just wrong. I'm sorry, and I don't like just saying people are wrong because there's no point in that. I'm a big fan of constructive criticism, and explain things. That's the main reason I think they are wrong. Is that I think subconsciously they must be comparing it too much to Spellburst, but it does not suffer from the same problems either on the play or on the draw. On the play, just thanks to being able to untap, play an extra land, and then deal with whatever threat they just played, and on the draw because you can pitch a card to make up for the fact that you're on the draw. Anyway, and again, the fact that you draw an extra card naturally on the draw is yeah. If the Magic rules didn't like give you an extra card on the draw, an argument could be made that it's not, but that's neither here nor there. Other than that, I mean, obviously we're playing Solitude. We're playing the same Stoneforge Mystic package we've always played, and I think the four equipments that are probably going to be our main fixture for the foreseeable future are Kaldra and Batterskull. These are pretty much what makes Stoneforge Mystic a heavy hitter. Excuse me if there was a little bit of breathing into the mic. Let me see. Maybe this helps. Yeah, maybe this will help a little bit. I think my microphone was a little too close to my mouth. Anyhow, yeah, both of these make Stoneforge a heavy hitter because we can haste and then very hard to deal with Kaldra, or just a very more defensive oriented but very good at swinging life totals even by a wider margin, although not actually killing as quickly, Batterskull. And Lion Sash. It's just as good when we know that the opponent can deal with our Stoneforge Mystic, or when we need to deal with the graveyard. This card can very easily become humongous. We also have no other graveyard hate in the main deck in this particular build, and I think we can get away with that in large part because we have access to Lion Sash if we really need to hit something out of the grave. And then Mortarpod, yeah, this card just as long as Ragavan's, DRCs, and now Bone Crusher Giant, I mean not Bone Crushers, Orcus Bowmasters are in the format, there will always be a place, in my opinion, for a Mortarpod. It is, and also there's just random mana dorks sometimes that get played, like Ignoble Hierarch. I know Orcus Bowmasters is kind of pushing some 1-drops out of the format, but it also just so happens that being able to hit Orcus Bowmasters itself is really awesome. But also it gives you reach, because in a mono white deck, if we get them down to like 2 life, we can play Mortarpod, bring another 1, equip to another creature, finish them off. It actually comes up more than you might think. Having reach in a mono white deck, they never expected either. I don't know what else to say other than just that this card does a lot more for the deck than you might think. Anyhow, yeah, and okay, Restoration of Eiganjo is back because I just find that this card synergizes with like Stoneforge Mystic, which they always kill, and just lots of other stuff. Also, no more relics in the main deck, I mean that we never have to worry about killing our own graveyard. Yeah, I don't know what to say other than just that it allows us to rebuy value from our graveyard later in the game. It can help mana ramp us because if we discard a land, we just bring it back from the graveyard. Oh yeah, it's especially nice in conjunction with Winds of Abandon because we play this on turn 3, okay? Then on turn 4, we discard a land, then immediately bring it back. So we have 4 lands to play, but then we can make our land drop for the turn, 5 lands in play. So we can't play Winds yet because A, we have 5 lands, and B, one of those 5 lands is tapped. But notice, next turn, we untap that 5th land. We can play a 6th land, and notice how this mana ramped us. By playing this on turn 3, we skipped from 4 mana immediately to 6 by turn 5. It's a bigger deal than you might think. Excuse me. No Urza Saga. Oh yeah, and of course Mazemind Tome. I've gone over this many times with many other color decks. Just it's cheap. It's cheap mana manipulation when you need it. It oftentimes gains life, and it's oftentimes a very affordable card draw engine. When you need that as well. For 2 mana, it just gives you a surprising amount of optionality and resilience. This is just kind of like a tailor-made awesome card for mid-range decks in general. No Urza Saga this time. Honestly, like The problem with Urza Saga is the format is just kind of prepared for it. Sometimes you run away with the games, but I just find that I'm very almost never convinced that the games where I just run away with Urza Saga are games that I couldn't have won otherwise. But I am oftentimes convinced that when I get hosed super hard to like Blood Moon or I don't know, a Tide Shaper on turn 2 by Merfolk, or if I somehow get hosed, if my Urza Saga somehow gets, or how about on my turn 2, like they play Plains or they play some kind of untapped white source, and then I drop Urza Saga, and before the ability even goes on the stack, they play their March of Otherworldly Light, or just whatever, or main deck Terra Sunder, which believe it or not I have seen from some decks, but they just play something that somehow deals with a Urza Saga, most commonly a opposing March of Otherworldly Light, if anything. I mean, that's just so terrible. Then I don't even get to make my 2-turn drop like my turn 2 drop like Stoneforge Mystic or something. So like anyway, bottom line is there's a lot of ways I can get hosed by playing Urza Saga, and it's not that I necessarily auto lose a lot for having Urza Saga, but it's just this. The games where I lose because Urza Saga gets hosed disproportionately hard, um, or just because it incentivizes the opponent to bring in Blood Moon, and then Blood Moon just gets me otherwise. And don't get me wrong, Blood Moon could be a boon to us sometimes because if we happen to have like 2 planes, it's basically no big deal at all, especially since we can march it later on. But this anyway, let's just say that when Urza Saga for one reason or another ends up getting us hosed disproportionately hardly, I feel like I end up losing games where I otherwise would have been able to win if I hadn't had that vulnerability. Whereas I just very rarely feel otherwise. I very rarely feel like when I win because of Urza Saga, I needed that Urza Saga, if that makes sense. And this could be faulty reasoning because I think one of the main things is we're just not seeing a lot of combo like we used to. And also I think some of the combo we are seeing, I think the 8 fields are kind of a little bit better at disrupting anyway than Urza Saga. And getting rid of Urza Saga lets us play the full 8 fields, which is pretty sweet. Plus I don't have to warp my main deck by playing like main deck Relics or Stone of Eric's or something. Plus there aren't that many good value sort of 1-drops, so like Mistress Research Factory in mono red. That's one of the main reasons I think Urza Saga keeps coming up in mono red, but it tends to not show up in other colors as much. I have tried it in other colors, but the thing is red, like Urza Sagas can chain into more and more Mistress Research desks, and Mistress Research desks is an insanely powerful 1-drop artifact. The closest thing I think that other colors have is going to be this generic Candy Trail, which, as you can tell, I did do some experimentation with. It's not bad, but it's just, man, a 3-mana Preordained, even one that gains us 3 life, it just makes us feel so bad for not being able to actually play the real thing. Although this card's better than it looks. It has its moments. To be fair, I tried this in mono black. I didn't try this in mono white. It's just too expensive, man. It's just too expensive. Like it's so close to being there, but because the Scry 2 when it immediately comes into play is nice. Man, if only it drew a card immediately when it came into play and it was pay 2, tap, sacrifice, gain 3 life. Scry 2, you know, if it was that, I think we're cooking with gas. But it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. It's just the Scry 2 is nice, but it's just you really want to draw that card and being forced to pay 3 mana. Again, I just really wish this drew a card when it entered play and it Scryed 2 and gained 3 life when you sacrifice, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. I really think then it would be very comparable to Mistress Research Desk. Possibly even better. Well, I doubt it, at least in red, but it would be very serviceable. Anyway, so yeah, 8 field, yeah, and 8 field mono white, Stoneblade, Castle Ardenvale, incredibly sweet card. Endless bodies, which we can equip Batterskulls to later in the game as well, or Mortarpods for even more reach. The sideboard is going to seem a little funky. So first of all, we got Chalice of the Void. See, what I just realized is my mono white deck is practically another Chalice of the Void deck, like the mono blue deck. We could just cut the paths and just play Chalice in the main. Like, a part of me kind of feels like kind of feels like I should. Like, don't get me wrong, this did cross my mind that we're so close to just being another Chalice deck in the main. The problem is that whereas I feel like the mono blue deck kind of needs Chalice, I feel like this deck doesn't, because the mono blue deck has a much bigger vulnerability to getting overrun with cheap creatures and such, which Chalice can help defend against. Whereas this deck doesn't necessarily have that vulnerability, and then we just avoid Chalice being a dead or mostly dead card. I feel like if we can, yeah. However, Chalice in the main does give us some unique interaction with the opponent's spells that we wouldn't have otherwise. But at the end of the day, oh yeah, something else cool when we do play Chalice, which I don't think I've ever thought of before, is that we can actually get two Chalices on 0 into play. Because if we play one and then discard the other to Eiganjo and bring it back, we didn't cast it, so it gets under the other Chalice. That doesn't really matter too much in most matchups, except for like Rhinos or something, where oftentimes they've got Force of Vigor anyway, and they just deal with both of them. But if they only had like, if they're relying on Brazen Borrower to hit one or something, then they actually need two. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, but at the end of the day, Path to Exile though, it just synergizes so well with the 8 fields. That's the thing I can't get past. Winds of Abandon of course does too, but Path to Exile is so much better than Winds until Winds hits 6 mana. Most of the time, Winds is basically just a sort of a makeshift additional paths, 5 through 8. It just feels so wrong playing Winds of Abandon, but not Path. But at the same time, I feel like Winds of Abandon is a little too powerful to pass up on. Plus, it also synergizes super well with the 8 fields when we're already draining them at basic so much. You'd be surprised, Path and Winds turn into just a almost downsideless removal spells that just exile a creature at this cost, at their mana cost. I feel like they're too good to pass up, so I'm comfortable playing Chalice in the sideboard. All we have to do is take out Path, and then boom, we've got no other 1-drops. Chalice fits in perfectly. Plus, it also is good against the Cascade decks, which can play this for 0. So I do very much like that. We are playing 2 more Lion Sashes for additional Graveyard Hate. I could play some other Graveyard Hate, but at the end of the day, since I'm opting to only play 2 additional Graveyard Hate slots, I really want Stoneforge to be able to fetch them, since I don't feel we can rely on necessarily drawing them naturally every single game. But having effectively 7 copies when you combine them with Stoneforge, I think that's very acceptable. Instead of playing 4 Graveyard Hate cards, though, we are playing 1 Emrakul, and I stand by this decision. Even though Mill is a little bit of a fringe deck, I still just feel like we gain so much win percentage against them for so relatively little deck space. And I'm not saying like Mill players are not dumb. They oftentimes have a plan to deal with Emrakul. It's just that in my experience, oftentimes we are able to overcome that plan, their counter plan. I'm sure every Mill player will pretty much admit, even though they have plans to deal with Emrakul, they would always much prefer that the opponent didn't have Emrakuls, I'm sure. And then lastly, we have Vanish into Eternity and Skyclave Apparition. These are both measures to help against One Ring. Of course, March does as well, but March will always cost 5 mana, or have to pitch a card, whereas these cards will always cost 3. Yeah, these cards also deal with Planeswalkers, which actually we have no good answer in the main deck, other than just trying to hit the Planeswalker with either damage from creatures or from Blast Zone. Blast Zone is actually more serviceable at dealing with Planeswalkers than you might think. But yeah, Vanish can deal with any Planeswalker for 3 mana in addition to the One Ring. Being able to hit creatures as well for 6 mana while incredibly overcosted. Sometimes, it's like being able to hit a Wormcoil Engine. Yeah, being able to hit a Wormcoil Engine is like, well, 6 for 6, but you get the idea. Sometimes it is just really worth it. Yeah, and Skyclave Apparition, same deal, except it only hits non-token, non-land permanents with mana value 4 or less. Of course, the upshot is it can hit creatures as well, and it is a creature itself. Okay, anyway, that's the rationale for the deck, and at the end of the day, like, what's the advantage of playing this deck as opposed to like mono red? Well, unlike mono black, we don't have discard. Unlike mono blue, we don't have counter spells. So what is the advantage? I would say ultimately, as usual, it's probably having good options from white in the sideboard, particularly Skyclave and Vanish. Just very powerful answers to the One Ring, and just very nice, versatile answers to a lot of stuff overall. It's also better against Murktide. Of course, Murktide is beatable with the mono red deck, but I think mono white is even better because we can just deal with Murktide in general. But I would say conceptually, this is my biggest mental block to playing mono white. I love this deck. I love how it feels. I actually have a pretty good overall win record. I think I've probably gone 4-1 with this deck more than I have with the mono black or the blue decks. I think I go 4-1 very often actually with this deck. It's very impressive in that regard. Somehow I almost always fall short of getting the 5-0, but being able to get 4-1s pretty consistently is very impressive in my mind. But conceptually though, it's weird because I'm just not so sure what really like gives this deck the edge over the mono red deck, because the mono red deck has more strip mine effects because it also has demolition. I mean, it also has cleansing wildfire, and in the Obosh version, it can also play the moons. Plus, it has Ragavan, at least the Obosh version. Trying to think what else red gives us access to. Yeah, I guess mostly just better strip mine effects, better removal overall. Not always, but better ability to deal with small creatures. That's for sure. I guess white's main thing is it can deal with large creatures better, but having better strip mines and better, having like more strip mine effects, Geomancer's Gambit also having blood moons. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the games. But like, I guess for the time being with the format the way it is, I still don't think like, I mean, Death and Taxes would take this in a totally different direction and would cause me to have a totally different matchup spread. But the way the format is, I think I'm actually doing better by gearing myself to be more of a mid-range mirror breaker of sorts, rather than trying to hate on combo decks, which I just don't really see much anymore at all, period. Like, that's the problem with Death and Taxes right now, is it's designed to kind of hate on combo decks, but there just kind of are no combo decks anymore. So you end up getting muscled out by decks designed to beat up other mid-range decks, which is kind of like our deck, and that's the issue, I think. Anywho's it. Yeah, anywho's it. I mean, at least I'll say this much: we can deal with big creatures easier. That is for sure. So let's get to the games and see you all there. All right, match one. What's the? Oh, this is a definite keep. Nothing to do turn one, but that's fine. We don't really have much to do turn one, and I honestly think that is a-okay. Okay, Rhinos. Oh, that's a big thing actually in the deck tech that I forgot. Is I do think we have a better Rhinos matchup, since for example, if they don't deal with the Stoneforge right now, then I might actually be able to race Rhinos here, and I think we go for Kaldra. I don't think they really play any main deck answers to this. And if they're in a situation where they're using Rhinos to block the Kaldra, I think that is a good place for us. The question is, do I want to hold back or do I want to attack? Definitely attack. Yeah, because watch how I can also play Batterskull. The Wall of Omans can also be nice too, just saving me some life. But they are in a situation where they're going to have to start blocking really soon. They don't know about the Batterskull, but I'm still playing a little bit on the safe side. I'm a little bit worried about Brazen Borrower or something. And I really want to attack too. They probably have a Violent Outburst to block. We couldn't, that was not a given, but oh, never mind. I just win. They didn't have any blockers at all. So we actually kind of tempoed them. Normally it's them who flash in something at end of turn and then kill us, but apparently this time we did that to them. Man, getting a clean win like this against Rhinos feels so cathartic when Rhinos dunks on our mono red deck so hard. That alone actually is making me feel very optimistic about playing more mono white in the future, as we just have such a better Rhinos matchup. I'm not going to oversell it. We have lost our fair share against Rhinos, but I think we're actually at the mythical, roughly even-ish win percentage, I think, against Rhinos, if I'm not mistaken. In other words, Rhinos is a beatable matchup, and oh boy, I'll take it. All right, match 1, game 2. How did we sideboard? So, Chalice, of course. Of course, we bring in Chalice, and honestly, I think Wall of Omans is probably the most disposable main deck card. It does effectively gain us 4 life and draw a card if we want to block a Rhino token. But I think just stopping Rhinos, period, is going to be better. As we can see, the Stoneforge package just wins games, and I suppose an argument could be made that maybe Castle of Eiganjo is too slow, but Castle can also help rebuy Chalices that get destroyed. Something tells me that's not going to be pointless. I don't know about keeping this, man. I think I should throw it back, but man, I am such a going back in time to look at my play patterns. I definitely think one thing I need to work on is I think I keep too many hands, but then I just get rewarded like a luck sack, though. That's the problem. I will never learn my lesson if I keep just my 8th card just keeps on being like a card that totally justifies keeping it. And just drawing a plains helps too. So like, you're not helping my case, Moto. I don't think I should have kept this hand. But yeah, I honestly don't 100% know what my thought process was, other than that. To be honest, guys, I think at the time I was like, oh crap, like I shouldn't have kept this. I think I just kind of was like, land spells, and I'm like, oh god, no. Maybe I was watching YouTube or something. Because in reality, this was a totally unjustifiable keep. But then I ripped this Chalice, man, and I don't want to make any spoilers here. But let's just say I got a feeling that I kind of just luck sacked myself to a straight up victory, because this is kind of a sign of good things to come, that they just flat out didn't even have a. I mean, I was prepared with the double march to deal with some Rhinos anyway. But yeah, it's very rare, and also in my experience, they get just caught so bad by just a single Chalice right here. But I mean, I don't know. I want to make a token rather than play the Mortarpod. If I knew they had exactly Brazen Borrower and play the Mortarpod, but otherwise, let's just try to get some kind of clock going. Well, Stoneforge Mystic, certainly nice. It boggles my mind. What is their hand like? Like 3 Shardless Agents, like 4 Violent Outbursts or something? Like what is their hand? Well, I guess they could have a subtlety here. You'd think they'd play it. Okay, well that is one thing that helps explain. Unfortunately I can't save it. No point, I think. No, you know what? I'll try to shrink a Murktide. That was a mistake. I should have hit Crashing Footfalls, because if they have Endurance. Yeah. I think we'll march for 4. Now, yeah. I think I'll block and then march. If they can somehow deal with this, I want to be able to block. Alright, I pretty much expect that. That's why I played it on their turn. At least forcing them to tap 3 mana, although forcing them to pitch a card could have been better. If I just drop Kaldra, I think I win here. Again, so weird that they're just caught totally with their pants down against a single Chalice. Alright, well, good thing we blocked with that Mortarpod, because there is such a thing as going down on life too much. Okay, we know they probably have a 3rd Force Negation, since they're holding something up for Kaldra, so maybe we'll try to save. We'll play this instead, just so we can hold up Path We really don't want to get smacked by Bone Crusher again. Yep, they had some kind of answer, so good thing we played Batterskull instead of Kaldra. And against, man, dunking on Rhinos, good feeling. Obviously, obviously this was kind of not expected that they'd had no answers to Chalice, but the fact of the matter is we also had wins possibly, but actually, not gonna lie, if they drew an answer to Chalice, Crashing Footfalls, I assume more in their hand, backed up with Double Force Negation, could have actually been a clean sweep for them, but on the other hand, we did actually have, if they had an answer, maybe they didn't have Bone Crusher, and then we could use our marches to deal with the Rhinos, so who knows. Either way, I don't think we would have been able to do this well if we were mono red. Mono white definitely has a better matchup against Rhinos, and that is very encouraging to me. Alright, match 2, game 1. Yeah, don't mind if I do. Seems decent to me. Oof. Hardened Scales. The thing about Hardened Scales is we might actually have a better matchup against Hardened Scales too, because we are not as psyched out at just massively sized creatures. Yeah, I think Lion Sash is pretty disposable, and it makes sense to hit that before it gets pumped up even more. Alrighty. This is a little risque, but having the Solitude potentially ready to go at a moment's notice really helps us be more aggressive. Alright. So all these Hardened Scales would be genuinely terrifying against mono red, but against mono white, where we have the ability to deal with massive creatures, it's creating this effect where I feel like all their eggs are kind of ending up in one basket. So what we're actually kind of hoping is they're going to try to pump the Walking Ballista, and then we can path in response. Yeah, so we'll do that. I don't think they can immediately, yeah, because they only actually have one artifact to sacrifice, the Ozolith. Alright. So what we can do, they cycled another Ozolith, played as a Boz. What we can do, alright, so yeah, we're just going to hit the Arcbound. That is fine. They're going to sacrifice and put that on that, which is truly massive, but we have the March, and then we also have the Demolition Fields to be able to, I'm surprised they didn't, oh yeah, because they can't, because it's an Exile effect. Yeah, they don't even get to put the counters on Inkmoth. Okay, fair enough. I mean, obviously I Demolition Field this. Yeah, see, I'm just not as terrified by all these Hardened Scales when all my removal spells pretty much don't care about power and toughness. I mean, I will say, mono white definitely has the most powerful creature removal. I really like that, actually. It always made sense to me. Like, when I got into Magic, white was ironically one of the weakest colors in creature removal. Like, I'm not kidding. The best creature removal in mono white in Standard when I started was Pacifism. Like, that is just objectively true. I think we'll take a smack from this, just because it's much better to use Field of Ruin. But like, oh yeah, definitely not. That was actually very very clever on their part, but thankfully we had the path. They almost caught us. Okay. Oh wait, before we see our hand. Oh, too late. Let's see how we sideboard. I think I bring in Skyclave Apparition, but that's it. Yeah, take out Wall of Omans for Skyclave Apparition, and that's it. And yeah, Wall is nice, but I think this is a game where we just want to interact with what they're doing. And let me tell you, Skyclave Apparition on like a Hangerback Walker or a Walking Ballista is very sweet, because they won't even get a token, because it technically costs 0. But aside from that, like hitting an Arcbound Ravager, like them getting a 2/2 token just is not scary at all. Whereas even these Patchwork Automatons are kind of scary. But we have Kaldra as a good blocker. Oh yeah, Winds of Abandon is a nice feature that the white that red doesn't have either. Just having a clean sweeper. Alrighty. Alright, that's fine. I think we Solitude. Yeah. Hit that card. I was a little worried about Tamiya's safekeeping, not gonna lie, but alright, and that will help us get our 6th land for Tamiya's safekeeping. Don't mind if I do. And then we can Winds of Abandon next turn. Hopefully they play a lot of delicious creatures for us to sweep up. That looks like a delicious creature. I think I'll tank it. No, you know what? I approve. Keeping our life total healthy and high is good. Yeah, I might as well discard a land. Might as well get my Misty back. Oh, that's another good reason to actually have. That's what I was thinking. I don't think it was a good attack from their part. I think giving us another crack at another Stoneforge Mystic was probably not optimal. I think they forgot that I had Restoration ready to go resurrect it. Okay. Okay, that's nice. Obviously they want to kill this, which is understandable. But we get to Skyclave Apparition it, like we were talking about earlier. Very solid. Might as well just draw a card, I guess. Alright. Probably, you know, I don't know, jump blocking is maybe not where we're going to be. I think we Skyclave, don't we? Okay, what's my thought process here? Oh, yeah, that's my thought process. I guess they were not sure either, but if I blow up the Blast Zone, yeah, I guess they didn't see it. We got the Solitude at our beck and call. You know what, Solitude being instant speed, in addition to hitting a creature of any power and toughness or mana cost, Solitude is pretty busted, actually. I'm actually wondering, Solitude might even be better than Fury. For some reason, everybody is talking about the possibility of a Fury ban, but nobody's talking about a Solitude ban. Are you joking? Solitude is arguably the more powerful. I love it. I love having access to Solitude here. I don't know, man. I don't see them coming back from this. I don't want to declare a victory too early or get too cocky, but this looks like it's spiraled out of control for them, and them kind of flooding out certainly doesn't help the situation. Alrighty. Okay, cool story, bro. We're gonna pass that. Okay. Or maybe we just play Skyclave Apparition. Yeah, we'll play Skyclave Apparition. Or that. Yeah, or just yeah, that works too. Alrighty. Alright. Match 3, game 1, Black Letter Day. What is this? No colored mana, but I think we can. Okay, this has gotta be. Okay, actually, we have not faced. Oh yeah, and you know what? This is actually competitive. I think this is a competitive league. All right, you know what? I don't know for sure. I think this is a competitive league, but I can't say that with 100% certainty because no, I think it is because I Sometimes I play the budget decks in friendly leagues, just because if they don't turn out to be good, I want to minimize losing too much money. But yeah, but this I'm pretty sure this is a competitive league. It's just been a while since I played Boggles. At the end of the day, I think we get juked here. Um, it's actually more so because of the Ledge Walker than it is because of the Auroras. The problem is I just can't interact with the Ledge Walker, and the Rancors come back. Oh, I guess I have a plan. Winds of Abandon. But we kind of have to pray that they either don't have another green source, of course they do, or that they don't have another Ledge Walker. Oh man. And I think they just straight up have the win next turn. I guess I wonder if there's some way I can Solitude my own creature. I don't think so. No, I can't because this says other. Exile up to one other target creature. Man, how sweet would it be if Solitude could hit itself? Then it'd be a free 0 mana, gain 3 life. But, alright. Alrighty. Oh yeah, don't forget about the sideboard. That hand just had no color sources and no ability to actually meaningfully interact. It was going to get overrun. At least not early enough it couldn't interact. This deck has colored sources. It's also a little lacking in early interaction, but I think we have to keep because of the strength of Blast Zone and because of the colored mana sources. Plus, Restoration could boost us into a turn 5 Winds of Abandon. It is possible. Yeah, there's not enough actual targets for Solitude or Path, in my humble opinion, so we bring in the pull from something from Eternity and Skyclave Apparition, so we can actually interact with the auras. And might as well bring in Chalice on 1 too. Chalice on 1 is pretty big game. Let's see if we look sack a Chalice by turn 2. I'm trying to remember how this game went. And okay, we didn't. But man, if we draw Chalice, we are in such good shape. Okay, so we can hit all the glitters. I'll just go for this, yeah. I think boosting us into Winds territory is probably where we want to be. Also, just helping us hit our 4th land drop for Blast Zone. You know what? Actually, hitting our 4th land drop from Blast Zone is probably good enough all on its own. We don't need anything else. We have to hit that though, yeah, because if we don't hit that, then their Slippery Boggle comes back. I mean, this doesn't kill us, so that which does not kill us makes us stronger. I'm a little unsure about that, though. I kind of feel like I'd rather be at 1 life with a 2/2 blocker, because now if they play like a 2-mana pump spell. Oh yeah, this thing flipped. That's why. So actually, if I do this, I get a token, then I get to blow it all up. Yeah. I feel like attacking. Well, all right. Well, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah, I guess I'll hit. Yeah, I'll hit the Rancor. Oh man. Well, without trample, I mean, I don't know what this is all about because I can just without trample, I can constantly keep making more spirit tokens, and I'm gonna win this exchange. I need to hold up Vanish because all they have to do is hit 1 trample or flying effect or something, and I'm done. I'm really hoping so badly to hit another land because this is very nerve-wracking. I can't tap out without the Vanish. I need to be able to prevent them from giving their creature flying or trample or some type of evasion. His mind is so close yet so far away. I just can't. Okay, fair enough. Alright, gonna block. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. You know what? Actually, I don't think I stopped and realized that Blast Zone actually. Well, the problem is the Spider Umbra makes it so the creature survives, but both their ethereal armors go bye-bye. I think I still got this as long as. Yeah. See, that was a mistake. I should have. I should have. But I've got wins also. Trample. So this is basically another rancor effect. But I saved my pull from Eternity, my Vanish into Eternity for exactly this reason. Winds of Abandon. Don't mind if we do. Not gonna lie, I was a little worried about Mana Tithe, which sometimes they play out of the sideboard. Alright, well maybe we can Winds of Abandon again to deal with. Yeah. This was surprisingly nerve-wracking, but I think we weathered the storm. I forgot that I have to pay 2 more, so a total of 4 mana to activate Stoneforge, otherwise I probably would have. Alrighty. GG on that one, alright. Alright, match 3, game 3. And we're going to keep... Okay, this time we took out Mazemind Tome. And we kept Wall of Omans in. I guess our thinking was that we want to be able to block. Oh, Chalice. They do have artifact and enchantment hate, but let's see. Maybe. Okay, so we could march that, but I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. All right, Chalice. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. If we hit the Rancor, then the Daybreak just goes bye-bye. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. I think we just hit the Daybreak. And we're going to Blast Zone. No, we actually, yeah, we had to hit the Umbra. Yeah, we hit the Umbra, Blast Zone, hit that, play another Chalice, and maybe they're locked out. I mean, this is a nice thing about playing Chalice on the sideboard is sometimes you hit Boggles. Kind of boggles the mind that Boggles is still seeing play. Not that it's a bad deck. I'm not saying it's a bad deck. It just such a blast from the past. Almost nobody plays this anymore. Ledge Walker is a little frustrating because I can't actually interact with it. Hit all that glitters. Put this on too. Hit that. Yeah, just a Lion Sash can come down. Well, we withered that storm. So gotta love these subversive human tokens. I don't know if it's still doing this or not, but this is like not what they're normally. It's not what they normally look like. It's funny at first though, but if they keep using this, this could get a little annoying after a while. Just it's like we get it, we get it. Okay, it's funny, but it's like we. I mean, I don't know. Like it's maybe I shouldn't say too much more. It's just not as visually appealing as the other version. Let's just say that. All right. All right. The fourth match we're going to highlight, and I'm not actually going to say if all of these decks were actually in like match 1, 2, 3 order, because let's just say that if our trophy run gets blocked, I just feel like it's more visually interesting to see that at the end. Let's go. Yeah, it's keepable. And by the way, I wasn't trying to suggest that guy in the token was like ugly or anything. If anything, I think for better or for worse, he actually kind of looks a little like me. Of course, I don't groom myself nearly as well, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, just you know, I guess you know, what can I say? Guys tend to prefer females on their artwork. Maybe the ladies prefer men on their artwork. I'm not sure. I get the feeling that both men and women kind of prefer females on their artwork. So we can all come together on that one, I guess. But anyway, it's funny. I heard the ancient Greeks actually thought that men were like more beautiful than women, but that's neither here nor there. Let's just say there was a lot of interesting things about ancient Greek culture, which we don't need to get into now. Already, yeah, we got to prioritize getting rid of this Ledger Shredder. But notice how my first priority was really to hit these steam vents here, just because once we mess with their mana situation sufficiently, I think it becomes a little bit academic, sort of. Eventually, we will put them in a lose-lose situation. I know the way we probably missequenced that, but I guess, all right, it is what it is. Well, they're not going to be able to do this again, so we're going to Winzo ban. And I know I missed out on being able to kick it, but I just, it's too backbreaking if they have a counter spell, so, and I don't think we need to. Okay. With Mazemind Tome, I'm not too worried about running out of cards, especially with another one. Oh, that's another one. I just pitched it, so they can't counter it. I guess that makes sense. I think we're going to use Blast Zone. We really need to be able to intercept the Murktide. That's one of the only ways I think they run away with the game here. Even when we're on most metrics pretty far ahead. I just don't want them to drop a Murktide and run away. Run away from all their life responsibilities and duties. We have to hold them responsible for their actions. Okay, I don't know where that came from. Oh, and there we go. See, by taking responsibility, we were able to hold up the path to exile. We were not giving into the forces of arrogance. Okay, enough of that already. You can go back to whence you came, Kermit. I'm not Kermit. Okay, we all know who you are. All right, let's go to a match. Let's go to the next game. Okay, how did we end up siding on this one? All right. Did I even make any changes? I think I just ran the main deck back. Yeah, I did. All right, let's go. I think we're main decked. There could be some consideration, like if they show me Jace the Mind Sculptor, maybe I bring in Skyclave Apparition, but yeah. Honestly, I think we can rely on Blast Zone for the most part to deal with Jace, especially since if they play Jace, I've almost only ever seen it as a 1-drop. I don't think I've ever seen them play 2 Jaces. So, alright. So yeah, I think even if we get hit by Ragavan, I think establishing this Mazemind Tome is going to be much more important to our long-term success in winning. And I don't think they're putting me under enough pressure that I need to start scrying as opposed to just drawing a card. Okay. I'll accept it, but we want to get some value out of our Demolition Field before this comes down. I got a feeling they're going to play actual Factual Blood Moon. Okay, maybe not. All right, fair enough. Yeah, so let's march this. All right, counterspell. I'll probably just take the hit. See, what I'm just worried about is I got cast into fire or something. I want to get as much value out of this Mazemind Tome as I can before it bites the dust. Yeah, we'll just hold back. I don't feel like I'm under too much pressure yet. The fact that I'm going to gain 4 life later, probably at some point before I bite the dust. I got enough of this. Enough of you. All right, Solitude. Yeah, we've had enough of those antics. All right, let's play another Mazemind Tome. Okay, no, fair enough. Probably gonna kill it. It's fine. Yep. Draw another card. Let's see. Yeah, I guess just draw another card. Gain 4 life. Play another Mazemind Tome. Like, we're just going to draw another card. We're not too worried about getting tagged by a Ragavan. We are worried about missing our land drops, but yeah. Subtlety, fine. They're pretty low on. I feel like I just don't need that to win. A little surprised they didn't activate the hearse, but I guess they want to make the hearse even bigger. Okay. Surprised I didn't play the Wall of Omans first. Okay. Okay, come on, land drop, please. This is one of the only frustrating things, man. But I guess we'll just take care of the. Get rid of the Kaldra. Oh, thank God, we finally hit our land drop. We're gonna wait on the card draw. See, one of the problems is when every single card, I mean, when so many of the cards just replace themselves, then you end up sometimes with more than 7 cards in your hand. That's first world problems if I've ever heard of them. Yeah, Wall of Omans, decent block. Don't mind if I do. Alrighty. Yep. Yeah, let's just get our Wall of Omans back. Very nice. Might as well hit this now rather than forever hold our peace. I guess we'll do another march. Yep. Not bad, if I do say so myself. Play more cards out of our hand. And just between you all and me, I think we have answers to both Ragavan and to Murktide. But that's just me. So I'm gonna do. I know this maybe I should have played Path, but if they don't actually have a way to activate that, it's kind of a dead card. All right, go after their red source, and I can start cranking out the Humi tokens. All right, I think this is where the fun ends. I've had enough. All right, back to the Shadow Realm from whence you came. They did gain a lot of life, but I don't care. Alrighty. I think we're going to probably wins that. I could play Solitude though. Yeah, winsing makes sense. Okay, never mind. Solituding makes sense. They've had enough. I don't blame them. Alrighty. Match. Yeah, no mana for that hand. We're 5th match we're going to highlight here. And let's go. Let's see if we can get the old Trophy Rhino. Let's see. Okay, there seemed to be some kind of Affinity-esque deck. I think we're going to hit that when we can. We don't want them to actually hit the actual Mortarpod before it dies. Okay. Alrighty, might as well hit the Urza Saga. Okay. Another Urza Saga, okay. Okay. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-O. I Dr. Foundry. I do have interaction for this, but the problem is I don't have it in my hand. And in the main deck, that interaction is mostly just March of Otherworldly Light. Ooh. Oh, that sucks. I don't have March in my hand either. Deal with the One Ring, let alone these 2 Thopter Foundries. See, this is a deck. Player on counter spells. See, this is a deck where they absolutely do benefit from Urza Saga. Since they have so many other artifacts they're just playing anyway, might as well get hyper pumped up tokens. As long as they don't slam a Sword of the Meek, Maybe we can mount some kind of comeback between the Kaldra and the Batterskull and all of this jazz. Oh my god. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous, I say. Just gonna hit the construct. Try to block the other one. Wonder if this means no counter magic. I think if they'd have it, they would have played it by now. Really. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I just think I'm out of like other good. Yeah, I'm literally out of every other card, I think. So gotta hit. Lion Sash could. They got way too much mana. There's no way I intercept a Sword of the Meek. Okay, they got me. Alright, match 5, game 2. And you know, when you think about it, it makes sense that Urza and his Saga would be in the same deck together. So, against all odds, I think I'm actually trimming on Stoneforges. But what am I bringing in here? I took out a Lion Sash, 2 Stoneforges, and a Kaldra Compleat to bring in four what do you call those guys? Skyclave Apparitions, and I brought out 4 Wall of Omans for 4 Vanish into Eternity, and I think that makes sense. We want to be able to deal with the ring and all these other artifacts and stuff. And in that regard, look, man, I'm hoping we get there. This hand looks good enough. The problem is those Urza tokens. You have to deal with both Urza and the token. I wonder what it is about these Urza decks that makes them not see much play. Because Urza seems like very legit, producing both a must-answer body and a must-answer token. And not so much the body, but the ability. Both abilities, actually, and both abilities are insane. There was some consideration to exiling Sword of the Meek before they could play a Thopter Foundry, but I'm not going to assume they just have it. They just have it. Yeah, it sucks. I should have clearly just got rid of Sword of the Meek. It's just hard to do that, though, because Sword of the Meek is completely useless without Thopter Foundry. But it sucks that they get two artifacts out of this deal before it dies. I get a massive token as well. Not cool. Oh, at least I got the Vanish for that. I swear though, if they draw more One Rings, it's gonna be freaking annoying. Oh, Get rid of Urza. Put out a One Ring. Counter spells. Oh my god, I did something about this. I just remembered. I must have got another One Ring. I hate this, man. This is where you really want the One Ring to get banned. It's just so stupid. And of course, they hit my Demolition Field with a random Pithing Needle. Golly. Man, just not being able to, just having to have an answer immediately to One Ring is also a problem. But I still stand by that I think this would be fine if it just wasn't indestructible. But it's so toxic though that only a handful of only a handful of the artifacts, enchantment, destruction spells printed in the game actually work on this thing. Alright, post league. And little rant time. Okay, Sorry if you heard something. I guess my phone got disconnected for a second and might have made a little ding noise. But anyway, no, in all seriousness, little rant time. Um, yeah, just it is kind of toxic that the One Ring only dies to a handful of artifact and enchantment removal ever printed. And see, that's fun. That's one of the fundamental balances of artifacts and enchantments is the fact that literally so many cards printed throughout Magic's history remove them. Like interactivity is just one of the cornerstones of healthy game design, healthy Magic, and just something that prevents even some of the most broken looking things from being too broken. It creates a give and take. It creates pros and cons. It's just so stupid that the One Ring has indestructibility. It's even more stupid that the card can kind of fix its own problem by playing another copy. Also, it doesn't make sense thematically. Like what? Sauron just makes another One Ring, and then the One Ring on somebody's finger disappears. I mean, I don't know. Like, what is the what flavor? Somebody explain to me, flavor-wise, what is going on when somebody casts a second ring? Okay, what just happened? Like in Lord of the Rings lore, like what just happened? Like what happened there? Like how did that person get bailed out of his or her like getting consumed by the One Ring? Like they're about to die from all the evil building up from the One Ring, and then Sauron just makes another, or I don't know if it's Sauron or not, but whoever just makes another One Ring, like, and then the One Ring just disappears. Like, what just happened? It's like, oh, okay, I'm fine now. Like, what? I don't know. I actually used to think that the One Ring was excellent flavor, and it would be, I think, if it didn't sacrifice to itself. It would still be too toxic for being indestructible, but the fact that it's also like there's literally a tweet from me on Twitter, now known as X, to for whatever reason, saying that man, this is where flavor is at. I think I also said, is it going to be good enough for my decks? I don't know. I still stand by. I don't think it's really where it's at for my decks, but I did think it was a flavor win until you realize that the card pretty much casts itself into fire somehow by playing another copy, and I maybe somebody can help, but I think it's also a flavor fail. I don't know. For me that's the last straw. I think they should just errata it to not be indestructible. Like that's honestly my opinion. Wizards, just look, man. I'm not trying to dunk on you too much. Like it happens. I mean, look, you're trying to make a card game that people get excited for and that people have fun and stuff. And like, I'm not gonna dunk on you for like. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime thing to make a Well, maybe it's not once in a lifetime anymore, but like this is a big deal. I get it. Having Lord of the Rings IP in Magic the Gathering, arguably the IP that fits Magic like a glove more than anything else. I'm not gonna downplay that. Like this was a big deal. You wanted to celebrate it, and you really wanted the One Ring to feel as powerful as the ring is in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, while also making it a sought after card, while also making it make sure it sees play, but also not like completely warp absolutely every facet of everything around it and completely dominate the game in Eldrazi winner type fashion. And hats off. I mean, you did create a relatively flavorful card for the most part, other than whatever's happening when you cast the second ring. I'll still never figure that out, but for the most part, a relatively flavorful card that is pretty powerful, and that didn't that for all of its faults, I mean, it didn't completely decimate the metagame and everything. I mean, it's not particularly fun to play against. It's not particularly healthy, I think, and forcing us to play all these bizarro artifact and enchantment destruction spells that we never really, that we for the most part didn't really play or consider playing before. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's fair, but I mean, I gotta hand it off to you, Wizards. I think insofar as you guys like executed exactly what you wanted to execute, while also maintaining some degree of health in the game. I mean, you succeeded, and I get it. But the problem is it is a little too good, I think. It just is. I think you guys were surprisingly close to making something that was just barely not broken, but I think it's just a little past that line. And I think the sooner we all realize that there is, especially in this digital age where everybody has a cell phone, like I understand that there is some equity to be had in making sure that players who are playing in remote locations of wherever that don't have access to the internet can still understand the game without a smartphone and without access to the internet. I get it, but let's be honest, if you are living in that much of a remote location, and no shade on anybody who actually is somehow watching this while ironically having access to the internet, I take it back. I don't know how you're even watching this if you somehow fall into this rare demographic that is both into Magic but also doesn't have the internet and doesn't have the ability to look stuff up on Gather and stuff. But let's just be honest here. In this new age we live in, there's no reason whatsoever that we can't just errata the card. Like we already errated so many cards in the past with all these lightning bolts and all these other things that used to say creature or player. Now they say creature, player, or planeswalker, or any target, as the cool kids say on the errata. And you already did this with companions. You created the precedent. Errata-ing is a fine solution. And I know some people are going to hate me for this because some people just want to see the One Ring gone completely. But I'm telling you, Wizards, please just take the indestructibility away. You don't even need to like prevent you from casting another copy or whatever. Just take the indestructibility away. Let the card stand on its own merits while being able to be hit by the artifacts and enchantment destruction spells that you've printed throughout your super long history. Let the game balance itself out. In my humble opinion, I do understand the hesitation. I think that's going to make the card kind of unplayable. I know that's a hot take here. I think if the One Ring becomes destructible, I think it's kind of unplayable, and I'll tell you why. It just becomes another 4-mana artifact in a very long list of 4-mana artifacts that, that get easily removed, and then you paid 4 mana for possibly not even drawing a card if you hit it before it puts the burden counter on it. I mean, if you really are worried about that, Wizards, you could also errata the burden counter mechanic, however that works, to make it so that they draw a card even if it gets removed in response to tapping it the first time. That'll mean at least people get to draw a card, guaranteed to draw a card in response to a removal spell, which already is actually a pretty good built-in sort of anti-removal, a pretty good built-in anti-removal mechanic that will probably succeed in incentivizing people to still play the One Ring while not be feeling as toxic as being only destructible by such a small subset of cards ever printed. But whatever. I guess to just actually finally have a real wrap up, it really sucks because I actually do think we're a little bit overboarded almost against ring hate, but it feels especially toxic when the opponent plays like Urza Saga plus an artifact based combo hate plus Urza itself, which creates a ginormous token, which granted we can hit that with creature removal, but still plus the One Ring. Like it's annoying because they have sort of like 12 must answer artifacts, and we have to draw exactly our 12 artifact and enchantment removal spells to answer them. Like we need to answer Thopter Foundry, we need to answer Urza Saga, and we need to answer the One Ring. I guess technically we can use our Demolition Fields to answer Urza Saga, but if they get even one token off with that many artifacts, it's just so annoying. But I mean the rest of the decks felt like we had them handled pretty good. It's just man, just getting juked by One Ring out of nowhere just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But I am confident that more likely than not, Wizards is gonna errata the One Ring, or ban it. And if history is any indication, they're more likely to ban it. But I'm worried though that if they're thinking about this in terms of a binary ban or not ban, they're gonna not ban it. When in reality, I think all they need to do is take the indestructibility away. And if they do actually errata the burden mechanic, so you're guaranteed to draw a card, guys, it's kind of I know the One Ring will still be kind of annoying, but it could be a win for everybody because the One Ring still gets to be a very sought after, I think, very powerful card. It just won't it won't juke. It just won't juke to the same extent, But anyway, I think that's all I have for now, and shout out to the patrons. Thanks so much to Adrian King, Gavin Doward, Daryl, B-Train4, Savage O's, Jules Faro, Kevin Robach, Roland Shonenman, S. Robertson, HJCLIU, Sophie Scarab, Erwin Lopez, Stanley Franks, Jeff H., Brian H., Zequel Smith, Andrew Watts, and Michael Patton. I love y'all, and see you, and everybody, patron or not, I love you all, and see you all next time.